Hi, I'm Jim Riley. Welcome to All the Right Connections. And my guest today, James Reynolds, president of Mid-Hudson Cablevision.
Happy New Year.
And Dave Fingar, he's my old pal. We get together, ebony and ivory, you know, the balance, the yin and the yang, me and Dave. Chief engineer.
Hey, Jim.
Nice to see you as usual. James, I told you before we went on the air, there's something I wanted to talk about. So if you don't mind, we'll start there. And
so you've got an agenda?
I have an agenda. I don't usually get to set it. Today I set the agenda. I'm troubled by the fact that I think sometimes people don't really understand the costs that are involved in providing this service to our customers. There's a notion out there somehow that you don't have to pay for these services. You just pull them out of the sky and then you charge fees for people to watch them. The reality is there are very serious expenses. Let's talk about that a little bit.
Yes. So I'm sure that most people have heard in the news media some of the larger events where a cable company, Cablevision, for example, took off one of the networks during the World Series a year or two ago.
Oh, that's right. I do remember that,
and
yes.
That was all about the cost of programming. You know, other cable operators have dropped services like Disney. Currently, DirecTV, I believe, has dropped Fox News because they can't reach an agreement. And really what's prompting this is that the distributors, cable companies are really distributors of content.
Right.
And all the sports and entertainment and movie services. And so the content providers obviously have done a lot of work and spent a lot of money developing really great content that subscribers want, and they're charging on an annual basis very large increases.
Right.
And so I think one of the problems is that in the early days of broadcast television, the broadcasters were very happy to have cable operators receive their signal and distribute it to an area like the areas we serve, because off-air signals, some people couldn't get them.
It. Right.
And we really extended their reach to places that didn't have good reception. And the way they supported their programming was that they sold advertisements.
Right. That's how they made them.
The reason that was successful, that business model was successful, because there was no such thing as a remote control.
Right.
So if you sat down in front of your TV on Sunday night and you had CBS on, it had to be a big deal for you to get up out of that chair, walk across the room, and change the channel to NBC or
Right.
ABC. So the networks had a captive audience. They've lost that now. They don't have, because people have a remote control,
And
they
they
have
can
a
make
guide,
so many choices. Yeah.
and they've got hundreds of channel and choices. And so they've started charging retransmission consent fees, and some of these fees per channel, per subscriber, for all of our subscribers, monthly basis, are enormous. The other big drivers for price increases are the sports networks.
Right.
Yes, ESPN in particular,
Right.
Madison Square Garden, Sports Channel New York. I don't know whether you got some statistics on the percentage increases.
Right. We're going to do that in a minute, but finish your thought there.
They're just unsustainable, and they force us to charge for every single subscriber. So if you're a Yankees fan, for example, and you have the Yes channel, you're probably happy about that. But if you're a Mets fan, you're thinking, why do I have to pay a big monthly fee for Yes?
Right.
Because I'm not interested
Right.
in it.
I follow a different team.
Beyond that, services like Discovery Networks, they've just concluded a big negotiation with we actually buy our programming through a co-op because it gives us a better pricing if we gather with a bunch of independent operators.
Yeah.
But Discovery, the Travel Channel, the Learning Channel, the network of Discovery channels, they've just imposed a huge new increase. And each year, as we pass that cost of programming along, the cable bills get higher. And so we're really looking at ways to try to figure out an opportunity to allow people to get the programming that they want without having to pay for all these expensive services. And we're under contract, so the programmers dictate the terms.
Yeah, and again, just remind people, there are fees to be paid, and these are contractual issues. Let's look at some of these numbers. I think it's important to look at that. These are increases that you pay for the services that you then have to deal with when you
Right.
deal with your customers. ESPN, 6.9% increase. Fox, 8.7% increase. TNT, 10.5%. Here's one that's kind of shocking. WXXA up in Albany, 82.6%.
Right.
WRGB, everybody knows WRGB locally, assuming that you get that free and there's no charge and no issues.
No.
25.7%. It's amazing. Disney, 9.6%, HBO, 7%. Overall basic channels, an increase of 14.8%.
Right.
Significant.
And the broadcasters take the position that if ESPN, which is a cable network, if they're increasing their cost to us for all of their channels, some of these services, instead of having one channel, like
Right.
ESPN used to be one channel, now there's
Multiple.
5 or 6 or more
Easily
ESPN.
that, easily that.
Charge for each one of them.
Yes.
And the networks are saying, ESPN is charging more because they believe they've got better content. ESPN really owns most of the major sporting events right now because they have a blank check
Right.
to bid on it. So the networks like CBS, NBC, and ABC, they've got these hit shows that everybody wants to see, and they're saying, our content is great too. We should be able to charge more, and then everybody piles on, and the rates go higher.
Yeah. Again, it's so terribly important for people to understand that you're working on this on a daily basis. It's a struggle and a challenge dealing with these contracts.
Yeah, the problem is that there used to be a strong relationship between the distributor and the content
Right.
provider. In the early days of the evolution of the cable business, where programmers went on the satellite, and that's how HBO and Turner Networks started, CNN, ESPN,
Right.
all of them launched a national network by going on the satellite. There was a great relationship between the programmers and the distributors, because the distributors had invested in the network to connect all of these
Allow
homes.
them to connect them and put them in the homes.
They could immediately distribute their product nationwide, worldwide. And so they were very excited about the fact that they would be able to do that. And then I think over the years, they lost sight of the fact that the distributors are the ones who run the wire to the house.
Right.
And they also lost sight, I think, of the audience, because you're going to reach a certain point with increases where people will say, I can't afford that, or I don't want to pay for that.
Right.
And
That's really what happens.
Yeah.
Yeah. It just gets to be too much.
I think also the other thing that's happening, and we're probably going to see a lot more of it in 2015, and that is that CBS has announced that they're going to provide what they call over-the-top programming. Now, over-the-top means skipping the distributor.
Right.
So they're going to make their signal in some markets, maybe not this one,
Right.
but in some markets, available to you. If you
Direct.
live, you can get it over the internet.
Right.
But you're going to pay them, instead of paying the cable distributor, a monthly fee. HBO has also announced this. Showtime, I think ESPN is going to. And so if that process continues, it's going to mean that customers can get different programs that they want directly over the internet, directly from the content provider, but they're going to pay per show, and I don't know what those fees are going to be.
Right. And we were talking before we went on the air that what really is the potential is that they're going to be priced in such a way that you say, I think I can live without ESPN.
And, well, the other thing is that in order to get programming direct from the content providers, you need a good internet signal,
Right.
a strong internet signal. And that's why we've been putting so much emphasis on the data network.
And the
because
performance so that people
That's
will
right.
be able to use that option.
That's right.
Okay, let's get Dave in here a little bit, okay?
Absolutely.
We're gonna switch up. I just want people to be aware of that reality, that it's a real ongoing day-to-day challenge for the company to try to keep these prices in line so that people can be served.
I've used the analogy in the past of a supermarket, and we distribute, we run on wires all over the counties that we serve and connect the homes. So we have a distribution network. But the grocery store is a distributor too.
Right,
They get milk, eggs, and butter, and they sell it to the public. If the cost of their goods goes higher, they have to pass it along.
Right.
We're the same way.
that's the way it works. Okay, let's move on now. And I hope I didn't belabor that, but I just wanted people to be aware of that.
Right.
Here's one that I like, and we're going to start with Dave on this because it has to do with magic and technology and stuff that I totally do not understand. And that is the ability to watch TV everywhere. Tell us a little bit about that, Dave.
It's the internet, Jim. It's the signal is no longer in a conventional format that you're used to, where you turn on the TV and tune to channel 6. And now you go to your computer or your iPad and you'll select the network and pick the show you want to watch and watch it. Like Netflix.
Right.
Similar
We
scenario.
talk. I always talk about YouTube because that's
YouTube.
my favorite.
Right.
But your system allows for that to happen. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, it consumes a lot of bandwidth to watch video.
Right.
And as more and more people are watching more and more video, the bandwidth demands continue to go up.
Right. And that's where you want to make sure that the performance for the customer stays at a very high level.
It is. We just raised our bandwidths to every customer this year in anticipation of that.
Great. Now, let's talk about some of the networks that we can do that with. Because I watch them, you know, I have a new smart TV, plus I've got the Kindle, and we can do that. Here are some of the things that are available. You have currently 51
TV networks on TV everywhere.
that you can watch everywhere.
That's
And
a
here are some of them, because I like to start with food because of Meet the Chef. You know, my local show, Meet the Chef, that James thankfully put me in a position to benefit from. Cooking
Like
Channel.
Jim Riley everywhere.
Jim Riley everywhere eating a bologna sandwich. Cooking Channel.
Well, some of these will be added this year. I think
Right.
we've got 51 networks currently available, and
Then you're going to have some more of
the
these.
ones that you're
Let me read. These
listing,
are going to be added.
Those are going to be
Okay.
added.
So we got 51. And by the way, we're going to have a graphic that shows those, correct?
We
With the
will.
logos of those networks, so people will see those. As we have this discussion, I'm cueing our producer to make sure he remembers, you know, to put those up on the screen while we're having this conversation. But let's talk about some, excuse me, additional ones that are going to become available. Cooking Channel, Do-It-Yourself Network, I won't be checking in on that one. If you ever see me
You got to
with a tool-
fix your house up.
the problem is, tools and myself, you know, there's no good match there. Food Network, like HGV, Home and Garden. Plants, and you have to work. I don't want to do that. Travel Channel I like. Travel Channel's coming. Fox Now. What's FXX now?
FXX was, I believe, a regional college sports network.
Okay, so
However, no, it's now, I'm told, changing to a full entertainment channel where they're going to have original series, they're going to have movies, they're going to have comedy specials.
Right.
So it's
Broader now.
It's a network.
Yeah, it's a network
Right.
now. Okay, Fox Movie, National Geographic, which is always interesting, and National Geographic Wild. These are in addition to the 51 that are also available. Now, tell us, Dave, about everywhere. What does that mean? What kind of devices? And through service with Mid-Hudson. You have Mid-Hudson service through the computer. What are?
It's delivered very much like over-the-top services. Over-the-top services would be the same types of program, ESPN, HBO,
Right.
delivered to your computer or your handheld device. TV Everywhere is the same type of product, but you can purchase it from Mid-Hudson Cable.
Great. And then through that service on your handheld device, iPads, Kindles, different devices.
Right.
Or like mine with a smart TV, you can go back through and watch them that way as well. What does that challenge you to do on your end, Dave?
Again, Jim, it's more and more bandwidth, constantly more and more bandwidth. It doubles every year.
Right.
If you think 5 megabits is a lot today, well, next year 10 is not going to be a lot.
Right.
And the following year, 20 will not be a lot.
Right.
It doubles every year.
So that's a constant change in technology. James, going back to you, investment on your part.
Yeah, I would just like to point out that before the holiday season, our network bandwidth utilization, which means how many people are trying to access programming over the internet on our data network, we were peaking at around 5 gigabit.
Right.
And since they straightened out the problem with the Xbox and the PlayStation,
Right.
we are now peaking at 7 gig.
Right.
And 2 years ago, we were peaking at 3.
Right.
So you can see the evolution of this.
Yeah, and it's not going to stop.
Right. But TV everywhere, we started off the show talking about the increased cost.
Right.
TV everywhere is really a value add for
That's the way.
subscribers.
That's what I see.
Because there's no additional charge. If you subscribe to the channels that are on TV everywhere,
Right.
and you go to TV everywhere and you log in and it says find your cable operator, and you scroll down, you select Mid-Hudson Cable, and then you put your account number in, it will authorize you to get all of the services you're currently paying us for on any device you want. So if you have an iPad and you want to watch Showtime in another room, you don't need any wires or anything. As long as you have Wi-Fi in your house, you just walk into the other room,
Right.
push Showtime, and you're watching Showtime.
Right.
And there's no additional charge.
I like that. I'm very happy with that because value added in this day and age with costs the way they are and challenges for people, with that additional service available to you, that's really a big plus.
You do need the Wi-Fi network,
Right.
so that if you're at the airport, for example, and your flight is delayed, or the train station, or wherever you might be, and you're delayed and you've got time to kill, and you want to watch HBO, or you want to watch a basketball game on ESPN, or any of the programmers that are on TV everywhere, and it doesn't matter where you are. If you want to fly down to Florida and take your iPad out in an airport somewhere, you can get the same programming free.
That's wonderful.
So it's a big value add for the customer, and we're glad that technology has come along because, again, with prices increasing, it gives them additional
You want to give
benefits.
more value.
That's right.
And I think it's terribly important. As you know, I'm a big fan of YouTube, so that's what I use. But the fact is, I can have that. If somebody's on a computer or the TV's on with something else, I can sit down with my Kindle and I can do what I want to do on YouTube. That's a big, big plus for me.
Sure.
And I know it's for the other is that we talk about young people all the time, but Dave, going back to you and what you have to do to make this happen, this is a challenge that makes it worthwhile for you to do the work that you do, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, Jim. It's a great challenge.
Yeah, because and again, that's not gonna stop or slow up, but just to be able to provide that service is something you can feel very good about.
It is, and we've laid the infrastructure that allows us to just continue to turn it up more and more and more. It's more and more equipment, it's more and more investment on James's part, but the network is capable of it, and we're keeping right up.
That you are. Now, I don't want to talk badly about you, but you're the president of the company. I have to, I have to keep in the proper place here. But you're a big tech user. You like this, don't you? I mean, I know that you do it for your customers, but it really makes you feel good about making this available to people.
Well, I think the thing that's been really gratifying over the years in terms of working with at the cable operation, and Dave knows about this because he started in business putting rooftop antennas up.
Right.
And that was to get off-air signals. And
You didn't like me back then either.
We didn't have a very good working
Right,
relationship.
those things
I have
change
to
over time.
admit.
Yeah, but fortunately,
I have to
things
admit
do
that.
change over time, yeah.
But,
Yeah.
you know, he saw the light.
Yeah, and joined
on
the
board.
team, yeah. There you
But
go.
since we started back in 1971, and we had like 10 channels on initially, we've rebuilt this system, I think, 3 times. And now, with the data network over the last few years, it's almost like rebuilding it a 4th and 5th time, because as the technology has changed, it has brought on, you know, enormous new advantages for the consumer, and it requires us to change the delivery system, the distribution network.
Right, exactly.
And so that's been wonderful to follow, and it's not boring because it changes. I mean, who would have thought that when back in the 70s that we would be watching TV programs on a little tablet over the internet? No one knew what the internet was.
No, no,
Dick
at that
Tracy.
time.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, right, to evoke the
So-
image of Dick Tracy is true.
So it's interesting because every game plan that you come up with and business plan that you come up
Right.
with is subject to change. Because you get there, you no sooner finish the upgrade, then you see the bandwidth utilization growing, and you know you've got to change the equipment again and make the service respond so that people can receive the programming they want. And I don't see an end in sight, because I see a lot more, like Amazon is developing content.
Yes, I
A
saw
lot
that
of-
the other day.
A lot of different players are jumping into the content market because they see the opportunity over the internet to distribute their content. And
Right.
so we're going to provide the platform, and we hope that it allows customers more choice and better value, and so we're going to keep a focus on that.
I like that. I'm a stubborn, long-time, happy customer of Mid-Hudson, and I'm not paying Netflix, and I'm not paying Amazon. I'm taking the services that I get through Mid-Hudson Cablevision because I'm very, very happy with the services. But performance is the key, right, Dave?
It is. You need that bandwidth to watch Amazon and to watch Netflix.
Anything that you want to do, and whatever I use it for, when people turn the technology on, they want the technology to respond, and that's what your challenge is.
It is. You don't want to sit there watching the little wheel turn.
We don't like little wheels turning. James, final thoughts?
Yeah, in terms of, you know, value adds, I did want to point out that we are adding, as we can, a number of services that won't increase the cost of the monthly bill. One of those services is Antenna TV, and it's an interesting name for a programmer, but it's really a lot of the older programs like Hogan's Heroes,
the
All in the
classics,
Family,
classic, yeah.
Gunsmoke, popular programs from a different period of broadcasting. Me TV is another service that we're going to be adding.
Those classic.
And it's, again, it's
Pieces.
Star Trek, Bewitched, Bonanza,
Right.
all these names from the past. And then we've got, as we talked about earlier, FXX,
Right.
which is an entertainment network with original comedy series and full feature movies. We've got MSNBC, which we're going to add in HD, I believe.
I think so.
Yes.
And you know, we're looking to upgrade other services in HD, because now people want to see it in HD.
Well, the quality. I mean, the
Yeah.
quality, it's really uniquely different.
So
It
wherever
is.
we can add additional programming services that don't escalate the cost, we're looking for those.
We like that about you, James. And we appreciate that about Mid-Hudson Cablevision as well. James Earl, President, Mid-Hudson Cablevision.
Thank you, Jim.
Dave Fingar, Chief Engineer,
Jim.
longtime pal. Thank you for joining us on All the Right Connections, and we'll see you real soon.